Happy Friday, everyone. We're live. Who all's here early? See, JB was here. I didn't get the thumbnail up till late. I was out assessing storm damage. Colleen says, hope that's the worst you got. Well, if you haven't seen the thumbnail, that's some of it. Gosh, JB was first, second, and third. The One-Eyed Cat is here. Pure Pontiac Garage. Rabbit Transit J. Bad Tree Blake. What's going on? NSB Custom Cars. Well, NSB, you guys might have got the hit directly, but even inland, we got a lot of damage in my hometown. So I went checking on the properties today, and it was just like I thought it would be. The one that had the most would have the most damage did. Indirect Connection, Jason, Mean Street Mopar, Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn, the World Traveler, Buffdale Campo, Turbo Tom. How is everyone? My Aunt Nancy is here. Yeah, I've been trying to make a game plan for cleaning up limbs and fallen trees. I've got 3.5 trees down. Said we dodged this one. Yeah, this one, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we got, I think, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Where I live is slightly out of the path, but it's definitely the worst I've seen up there since Hurricane Hugo came through in 1989. Heavens Mopar Scott. Good to see you, sir. Looks like Scott's back on the charger. Well, Dean, it's a good thing I don't care. That's all I can say. Mopar's Mustangs minivan says we dodged a bullet here in South Carolina. Yeah, it's strange because Bluefield it's 2,800 to 3,000 feet up, depending on where you are. And it's right in a channel where it's been hit with some really strong winds from hurricanes before. So this one was pretty significant. BAL, who is that? It's not Mopar Al, it's BAL. Yeah, so the off season is now. We did our wrap up from No Name Nationals last Friday, and this Friday I could finally break away and see how much I had cleanup to do, and wasn't too bad. It the irony is that two of the trees that came down I wanted to take down anyway. One of them was the one that was from my short. Remember, that had the electrical outlet on it. Um, that leaning tree. It's that one, but the way it was leaning, I couldn't finish off I couldn't get it down to where I could cut it to where it was caught up in some other canopy of trees. So anyway, this finished it off, and now it's down on the ground where I can cut it up and get rid of it. So that actually kind of did me a favor. It wasn't where it was going to hit anything. And then another one I wanted to keep because I liked the privacy it gave. It had a really nice canopy off the front porch, and it was nice, but it was actually too close to the porch. So it really needed to go. I just kind of didn't want to because I liked it there. But this storm decided for me, so no problem. It's gone. I don't have to worry about deciding on that one anymore. It is out. And so now I'll actually do the little bit of porch repair that it was keeping me from doing. But got another one that fell across two neighbors' backyards. Didn't do any damage at all, but I knocked on one of them's door and says, hey, I'll be up this week to clean that up. Empire of Rust got a branch with the wrecker. Yeah, I've got one that's not too bad, but it did a little bit of roof damage. So I got about about a 6-inch limb got into my roof a little bit. A new roof at that. But it's no problem. My roofer, who you guys have seen in the chat, Jeremy Finley, he's going out tomorrow. So he's going to check it out and get that squared away. And Yeah, tore my meter base off. One property got it all, and all the rest of them came out unscathed. So, you know what? All in all, I'll take it. I mean, you went west even 3 miles, it was completely different. All the damage was on one little corridor and east of that. We didn't have any hail, fortunately. Ironically, speaking of that, SSR Performance, Big James, Kim, Empire of Rust, welcome, glad you're here. Stay retardishly fanatical, Kim Bergini. Indeed. I'm telling you what, there was a discussion about YouTube flagging people for saying retard the timing. And I thought that is the stupidest thing. I mean, every factory shop book, manual, everything has advance and retard timing. You have fire retardant jackets, and that's how they're listed. Man, I am not going to modify my life over, this kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. Not about to. Colleen says our neighbor lost one 4-inch tree. 4-inch tree? Well, that's not bad at all. I'll take that. The Empire of Rust says busy year in the weather. Yeah, I mean all we got here where I'm sitting is rain. But I kept getting reports on the power outages up there. I thought, man, it must be pretty bad. There was a lot of them on my block. A lot of them. I basically have 2/3 of one block up there. Man, as soon as I turned on it, I saw all the trees piled up from the neighbor. I thought, ooh, this isn't going to be good. And sure enough. But anyway, I'll get on it. They've got a place set up where you can haul in organic debris, as they call it, meaning brush, just a couple miles down the street. And I really want to take advantage of that because without that, you got to go through the bureaucracy, which is the landfill. So I really want to use that. I don't know how much longer it'll be there, but it'll be there on Monday. So we're going to load it up. Kim says back off the advance. Yeah, you might not be backing off the advance at all. You might not be to 0. You might be less than 0. We have to describe things in a technically correct ways, and so they're universal. Empire of Rust asks, do we know the dates for next year's No Name Nationals? Not just yet. We like to see that other dates are going to get set around it before we commit. We typically announce this the last Friday of the year. But we're not looking to move anything radically. We do want to see, usually the Ford event at Bowling Green gets set really soon, like right around now. And then Holly sets their stuff like Mo Party. And we just kind of want to see what those are so that nothing changes radically. Twisted Mopar Garage is here. Big Mike says, I wish we could get some rain. We got plenty of it here. It takes a lot of rain for me to have any standing in the ditch out front because it's so hilly here. And we had an inch standing out there. That's a really heavy rain to get that. But it won't flood here. If it floods here, the whole town is gone. But yeah, our hometown got hit hard. Yeah, I noticed where I got an email. I read drag zines, or at least look at their headlines. The NMCA is no more. This is their last year. And I remember when the NMCA, I thought they were doing the best stuff in the 90s. It was just fantastic. Their classes, the people they had participating in their classes, it was not a big corporate affair at all. And then by the end of the 90s, early 2000s, you started seeing the money come in, the turbo cars come in, changed up all the classes. They basically combined it with the NMRA. Basically, it was a Fox Body and Camaro thing, and it kind of turned into what everyone else was doing. And they had a lot of economic blows coming out of COVID, tracks getting shut down, and so forth and so on. Anyway, they just couldn't make the ends meet. So it is sad. The 90s NMCA was, where was that? Absolutely, Big James. If you remember that, you remember some of the best racing ever. It was the best. when they had their original classes, they had Real Street, they had the Hot Street, Super Street, Pro Street. Those were really good classes. And then Easy Street was a nitrous class, and Factory Street, because the real street cars got a little faster. You can't ever keep class racing on the rails forever. So, but they really had something great. I loved it, but I watched it get out of hand so fast. I had no opportunity for sure because, I was a broke college student then. What's I going to do with that? Closer to top unavailed center. Well, that could be on either side. Monty Burney and Tony Christian were my heroes. Not sure who Monty Burney was. Tony Christian, of course, he was great. I was in the pits one time at NMCA in Rockingham, and this was interesting. I heard Tony Christian yell at me across the pits, "Hey, come over here." He was. He wanted me to come help him set up his engine crane. He was short-handed, so he showed me where the pieces went. We carried out there and set up his little A-frame to pull the motor out of his 57. All the interaction I've ever had with him, but he was nice, he's a nice guy. This is when he had just gotten the 57 out for its last hurrah in NMCA Pro Street. And so they took it and kind of went through, lightened it up a little, but kept it as a real car. And it was running 670s, low 670s in the quarter. But that was it, because after that, Bob Rigger, the turbo car, panel car, all of that, and it's a shame because in my opinion, they should have kept that stuff out. Pat Musey once said, "You guys need to tell that," talking about Bob Rigger stuff, "load that up and don't come back, because if you don't get a handle on it, it's going to take over and ruin it." And he was right. Pat Musey was exactly right, and that's exactly what happened. It's a shame. Rick Dyer. Okay, yeah, now I know what you're talking about. If you guys aren't familiar with the NMCA stuff of the 90s, you should check it out. It is fantastic. If I could go back in time to watch any drag race, and it might even be that. But you had a lot of these independents, and it was just good stuff. Empire of Rust says, "I'm thinking next year I'll bring an ambulance, race an ambulance." Well, that will be the second time an ambulance has been raced at No Name Nationals. Team Lovejoy in the house. How's it going? They just bought an RV for $500. Did you buy it for an RV or did you buy it for the powertrain? Mean Street Mopar. How's it going, sir? A full-size 1-ton. Cool. There's the unfinished project. Okay, put up a link to the announcement. There you go. I saw it on Dragzine, but there's NMCA's, website itself. It's a shame. It just turned into a big corporate affair with a whole lot of spoons in it, and that was it. And that's a shame. It's a shame. But it had drifted so far from what I enjoyed about it, it's just a shame. Nothing can last like that forever. But I got to tell you, those early years, the first 13, 14, 15 years of the NMCA was fantastic. Big Mike says, "I raced against an ambulance at the first No Name Nationals." Indeed, you did. Yeah. Jay from Irish Outlaw Garage brought his ambulance. It's pretty wild. BNR says, "House got damaged." Not the one I live in, but I got some other properties I had to go check on, and they're a couple towns over, and one of them got some damage, and I checked on it. The window's $942, so I'll get that. Actually, the frame, I might be able to save the frame and just order the center. So whatever, whatever I got to do. And then I got a little bit of roof damage and knocked the meter base off. But all the damage, all of it was all on one dwelling. So we'll take care of it. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 that were untouched, and this one 5 that were untouched. So I'll take that. Anyone got a link to the first ambulance? Yeah. Unfinished project. If you, I know there's a link to Jay's ambulance at First Donate Nationals. If you got that, that'd be cool. But yeah, Irish Outlaw Garage is where you'll find that. Andrew Nelson's here. What's going on, sir? I was just thinking about all of the potential that could be unleashed with a better economy next year. And I thought about you guys. 'Cause I thought about raw materials and the cost of racing and so forth, and just thinking just how much it could be affected to each of our wallets next year. I mean, I got to tell you, it a little bit of policy change to top goes a long way. I can see with the better energy policy would go a really long way for us, not just in terms of what it costs us to put fuel in the tank, but our raw materials, metals, fabrication, the projects we do with our cars. It'll really go a long way. Mohawk is here. Yeah, different project every week. Yeah, I wish it could be a car. And now I got to deal with his house. Old man in the shop built nut bought says C16's $20 a gallon. Yeah, it's just out of control. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. I mean, the price of everything is off the hook. So beware the person that said we're going to get you $2 more an hour and made everything else cost 30 and 40% more. They didn't help you at all now, did they? Andrew says we're getting ready to help a local track tomorrow. Cool, that's great. Well, being I don't think any of us can afford to see anything. I mean, it's just a pack of bologna's $9 now. Yeah, I mean, just it's outrageous. Now we got to do our part and got to vote right. That's all there is to it, Dennis. It's amazing how quick some changes can happen. Like there's a lot of job creation that's just right there and will happen fast. So there are some things that'll happen fast, and there are other things that will take a very long time. One thing I think is unfortunate will never happen is the national debt. There's no longer any plan whatsoever. The last I ever heard of that was 2012. I heard of a 22-year plan to pay it down, and I don't know if that would have happened at all. But I got to tell you, it's admirable that we even wanted to do it, and I think that's just all a thing of the past, and it's a shame. Tim Jacobson, what's going on? Good Friday Eve. 40-foot trailer filled with supplies for those affected by the hurricane. That seems like something you would do. That's very cool, you man. Empower for us. Any fancy new plans for next year? Oh, of course. We've already got plans. There are some really good things that we're planning on doing for next year. We're going to make some improvements in run order and efficiency. We're going to make some changes to what we do for the crews. I do have one thing I want to do next year. Not mentioning it just yet. There's some things we got to let fall in place, but yeah, there's going to be. I think that the fourth annual No Name Nationals very likely will be bigger and better than ever. And how many days? Don't know exactly yet. We certainly have an idea. I've talked with old Mayor Possum about it. We got a window where we work and try to work in, and we got to see what shapes up around it. But we hope it will not be radically different at all than it was this year. Andrew said, did anyone in our tribe get hurt? Other than a broken window, a meter base knocked off the house, and a small hole in the roof, we're all right here, but no biggie. Drive line of the dart is spread across. Yeah, that's okay. Budget racing is almost gone. The term budget, though, just means you have a budget. Your budget could be $10 million a year. NASCAR teams have a budget. it's all relative, you know. But it's not necessarily that the budget is gone. It's just that there are so many cheap parts flooding our market and bolt-on stuff and all of that it's taken away a lot of the younger generation's desire to ever learn any of these things. Like who learns to poured iron heads anymore when you can get Chinese heads that flow a bunch out of the box? A lot of people are like, they don't want to learn any of that stuff. They just want to get an eBay turbo, bolt it on, and go. And I don't blame them. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if all that was around when I was in my 20s, but it's just, I hate seeing that going. And I don't know, it's just changed. I'm just talking about Kroger, Colleen. I mean, it ranges, but it's just like groceries are freaking expensive. I remember when I was a little kid, if you saw somebody pushing a cart heaped over, it'd be like, oh man, that's gonna be $100. You could get $100 worth of groceries in one of those little hand carts that you carry as hand baskets. Kim, yeah, a lot of people do want the economy to collapse because it's profitable to them personally. That is absolutely true. And voting wasn't enough once upon a time. There we go. Unfinished Project put up the link to Irish Outlaws ambulance playlist. So if you want to check out a cool Pontiac ambulance over there, check it out. No number on the wall. Not yet, Justin. When a number appears back here, that means we have a date and it's announced. And that should be by the last Friday of the year. But here's the thing. I call this bonus time. We know it's coming. We don't want the date to move radically. You know it's coming, so you can go ahead and start getting your preparations on to be there. This is bonus time. Who knows about that? The one-eyed cat. Indirect connection. These guys know and use this bonus time. They don't wait. They know it's coming. Yeah, I like to see strikes resolved. I'm kind of cynical about the strike thing though, personally. About not that one. I don't know anything about that one, but in general. BNR said I got there late, but it was packed that Saturday. Yeah, it was a good. The event filled up later than normal. Uh, I mean, years past, it's been full on Thursday night, and this year, and I think a lot of it was just economy, is people said, you know what, it's a long way to travel, and if we get there Friday morning, we cut off a day of lodging. I think Ron Ward was right. He and I were talking a little bit about. We think economics are kind of played a factor in it, but the place filled up. It just filled up a little bit later than normal. People had less time to come and hang out early, so we don't fault anybody for that. It's just an observation. But yeah, the place was full on Saturday. Sure was. And Friday. That's when I did my video, and it's on my channel. You can look around the pits on Friday. But some things were scaled down. There were people that just had a little bit less budget for fuel and things like that. And I think that did get into it. So what I'm hoping is that we have a year, basically, close to it. This is bonus time. There's nothing on the orange paper, so let's all start, getting that budget put together and put on our best show next year. It's going to be great. Brazil doesn't have any power in South Carolina. Yeah, man, that's a shame. Yeah, I kept power here the whole time here. But man, if you just go 70 miles away from here, my hometown, you got nailed. Indirect connection said it's been in the 40s at night here already. Yeah. Big Mike's got a honeydew list to do before the No Name National stuff. Yeah, that sounds like Scott. Lovejoy's been daily driving the Fifth Avenue since he got back from No Name Nationals. Cool. Now, whatever you got for next year is going to be awesome. You guys put on a great show. Glad you came out. Unfinished Project says 66 Valiant runs and drives, doesn't stop. Clean title and dirt cheap. Should I break my self-imposed moratorium on new projects? Only you can answer that. You do whatever it is you want to do anyway. You know that. This crowd is always going to tell you to go for it. So you do what you think. Yeah, Ken doesn't like that. But I don't care. I mean, I'm just saying, I wish the whole Chinese parts tidal wave hadn't happened. I wish it was like it was 30 years ago, because it would it would be relative. You know, people would be using American made stuff. You would see more people doing things like porting heads, finding power in the NA combos, and we have more cars like that. That's what I wish. Mexican Spec is here. I actually filled out a little FEMA survey. They were just doing surveying what the damage was like. I did that today. Scott scored a tunnel ram set up for his 340 62 Valiant. Okay, I would get that duster wrapped up first. Kim's asking, do you need another old? Never ask yourself if you need another old Mopar. You'll never do it. We don't need 90-inch TVs. We don't need 20 pair of shoes. Buff says we're already working on a car without an orange number. That's right. There you go. Where is Mr. Cope? If I had to guess, I would say Monticello, Indiana. It's where he was a few hours ago, anyway. Sykes again this year. We make an announcement the last Friday of the year. We certainly like Sykeston. I mean, we'll make an announcement at the end of the year, the last Friday of the year, with all the 411. What can the orange card say till it gets a number? That's all the orange card ever has to say is the number. As far as Sykeston, I will tell you everything went great. Um, we love being there. They seem to love us being there. So, hey, we don't like to ever formally announce anything till last Friday of the year. We're looking at the dates that get set around it and things like that, making sure nothing catastrophic happens. But Sykeston is a wonderful venue for the No Name Nationals. And thing is if you start moving around the dates, moving around the location, what will absolutely happen is people will say, oh, well, I'll wait till it gets closer to me. That's exactly what they'll do. And that defeats the purpose, because we have people from all over the country who would never have gotten to meet one another if we did that. Smoke Wrench Garage. I mean, it's not like I'm having this thing at Motor Mile right up the street from me, or at Elk Creek, an hour away. I'm traveling too. Twisted Mopar says I'll have something for next year. I'm glad you were here this year. And by the way, Dennis is super cool. Him, I'm not seeing him say anything about this. I don't guess he cares if I do. I'm walking through the staging lanes, and he's in his daily truck. He just hands $100 bill out the window. He says, "Here, do this for a perfect reaction time. Put it in the pot if no one gets it." So that's exactly what we did. It was so cool of him. What that tells me is when Dennis is really cool like that when nobody's watching, Dennis is really cool when nobody's watching all the time. So he might not tell you that, but he's just a really nice guy like that. We were a bad influence. Yeah, everything was great. The only thing that really wasn't was we are definitely going to rein in how we do the cruise to Lambert's next year. That was a mess, and we're going to fix that. We got a plan. That's no problem. We're going to plan. We got that fixed. Planning for year 4 is already in the works. You better believe it. There would just be cheap American turbos. Everything didn't move to China. Well, I don't know. I think we had really good quality parts here before everything became a race to the bottom. So that's just speculation, isn't it? I mean, you have to build better stuff when you're building stuff for your neighbor. It's got the ability to punch you in the face. That's not true of Chinese parts. They can just send over anything they want. Anthony Chancellor, hello. Negative days. No, it's not negative. It's a positive number because we're past the 3rd annual. I just don't, I don't know exactly what the number. We have a range, and we'll see. We'll announce on the third day of the year. Just know that it's not going to be radically different. I mean, the date got moved from the first year a little bit, but I'll tell you what, where it is now is really nice. Uh, where it coincides with the school year, the seasons, how it fits between what goes on at Bowling Green and the other tracks around, it's actually really nice. When you hit on a combination that works really good, the last thing you want to do is change it for the sake of changing it. Junkyard D. Think of the blank orange card as reaction time. Don't waste it. ET starts January 1. That's the spirit. And that's why Junkyard D gets stuff done and shows up and everything, because he realizes this. It is kind of amazing. Every year, and it's generally not the people in the chat here. It's generally, you kind of see them randomly on YouTube, but you'll see them after Labor Day. Oh man, we're just out of time. And it's like, well, what did you do with the other 340 days? I mean, but no, I got to tell you, the good examples of time management in the chat, Don English. If Don goes out and does, a 30-minute job, 6 days a week, it's amazing how much he gets done. Don is like that. The Nelsons are like that. Buck is like that. Lots of you guys are like that. Junkyard D's like that. And it's amazing when you just stay after it like that, how much you get done. How often does someone cut a perfect life, though? We had some people really close. Just Mopar Joe got really close in Dallas. Dallas was 9/10,000ths off of a perfect light. He was really close to. Yeah, so I can't talk about the class. That's just something Dallas decided. I don't even know anything about it yet, so I have no idea. I guess we'll just stick him some room in the run order, and that is what that is. Mopar Al is here. What's up? He said he's going to up the reward money next year to 200 for a perfect reaction time. If no one get it, it goes to Paul. So Twisted Dennis is already up in the ante. We appreciate that, Dennis. That's cool. That's cool. We got to get our lumberjacks to come out. I got to tell you, we've had 3 different winners in the bracket. We've had 3 different winners in our heads up class. We'll have some changes to that for this year. 3 different winners in burnout. So you talk about an event that's got a lot of competition. This is it. Think about that. 3 different classes with 3 different winners in 3 consecutive years. That's not, you don't see that often. Victor swings by. So we're actually going to have a single line cross. Yeah, like we did the first year, but a lot of people messed that up this year, and we'll talk about that later. But what it is, a lot of people went early to film. Well, okay, you take yourself out of the cruise to film the cruise. There's less of a cruise, and it got all spread out and jumbled, and people doing burnouts and all the stuff we ask them not to do. So next year, I'm going to close the gate early. We're going to have a pace car and a single file cruise. And next year, if you guys do burnouts and do the stuff you're not supposed to do, we ask you not to do, and Scott County wants to write you a ticket for it, you're on your own. We really wanted to do that, and we can do that. And we're going to try. They're very graciously so we can try it again next year. We just have to have it work right next year. Yeah, that's the thing, Buff. Everything was great there. It's just that it'd been nice to have gotten it together. But at 5 people were already bolting, so we'll take care of that. We got that figured out. It'll be great. What I'm thinking is we'll have some designated videographers so that everybody gets the video of the cruise, no problem there. And then that way more people will be in the cruise. We'll have a single file. I think when everybody cooperates, it'll just be a lot better. And 2, we'll have a really exact time when we're rolling into Lambert's. So probably more people from Lambert's out watching us. Mr. Rotter says the Chinese undercut every American part because the people work for it. They do. They do. Yeah, it's and I know for sure they send stuff with leaded paint over here where we don't allow it. there's a lot of stuff. The metallurgy comes out of there is not what it's supposed to be. A lot of things are not what they're stated to be. It's a shame. It's a genie. I don't think we're ever going to get back in the bottle. Although I am kind of excited about the tariffs. I want to see us making stuff here again. What's up, Mopar Al? Big shout out to Mopar Al. Mopar Al brings us our sound system that we use for the burnout pit every year, and it's always great. We have great amplified sound and everything, and he does it every year just because he's so cool to do so, and I greatly appreciate it. Mopar Al does good stuff for us behind the scenes. Milwaukee's not going to drive 4 hours for a throw roll. Well, yeah, well, you drive that for one at least once a year, right? DNR, if you haven't noticed, the No Name Nationals logo is practically an American flag, and it's sanctioned by the American Hot Rod Association. So I'm all for USA made parts, but it is what it is. One Eyed Cat says, Uncle Sonny told me if you're late, you should have started sooner. I could see that. LC Chapel, what's going on? And LC Chapel is that a photo of you? It's not your magic avatar? That's cool. Did I get damage from Helene? Yes, I did. It wasn't too bad. If you look at the thumbnail, you see the worst of it. Put in a new bay window that was over $1,000 and it got destroyed. The window's so new you can still see the stickers on it. That kind of sucked. But I already talked to the place I ordered it from. They have all my specs and order numbers, so we don't have to refabricate it. But they're going to get me in the pieces I need. And my roofer's going out tomorrow to fix a little bit of roof damage. It wasn't too bad. And my electrician, I'll get with him next week because we got a meter base off. But anyway, it was all on one dwelling. The other 5 were untouched. And so I'm not complaining. Could have been much worse. Diecast stream, that 200 is mine. Well, you got to earn it. You get a perfect light, you can claim it. Andy said it's good to see everyone. How's it going, Mr. Andy? Andy saw a lot of flood damage, a lot more where he is. Mr. Rodder was 9/10,000ths red. Yes, he was. Tall Garage engine swapped a semi twice this year, and the first time it hadn't run in 20 years. Oh my goodness. Blue Grit, that is exactly right. And that's exactly how we did it the first 2 years. But this year, it got a little off the rails, I think, with people wanting to get ahead and film and stuff. So we're going to rein that in for the 4th year. You're going to see it's going to be great. I've got ideas to fix that. It's going to be great. So don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. I agree with you, though, but we've got that. That one, I think we've already got fixed, and it'll be great. You'll see. I think you'll really like what we're going to do for next year on the cruise. Andy says he went red by 0.010. Yeah, trying to grab that $100. Yeah, Buffdale Campo got hit in Paducah, Kentucky. His insurance taking if his insurance taking responsibility, then for sure they try to deny claims with all they can do. Any video of the buck? I don't have any. The only I have of the buck is I took a still picture of it, put on my community tab. But there is lots of video of the buck. So I will remind you guys, when you put video out, hashtag it No Name Nationals. There's over 15,000 hashtag videos, No Name Nationals. And so tag them. But yeah, there's all kinds of video of the buck out there running. He ran well. But see, Buck is one of those guys that always does a little bit all the time and brings it all together. And you count on Buck. He gets it done. Speaking of getting it done, there's Tony's Hot Rod Garage. Tony's Hot Rod Garage is a get it done guy. We were talking about him today. 1,590 miles bringing 2 trucks down on a flatbed. If you saw the hats that sold out at No Name Nationals, those FlexFit caps, really nice. Tony did them. Tony did, of course, our special edition 2024 shirts. He does a lot of stuff for us. He's helped us with other things too. He's one of those guys like Al, does some stuff behind the scenes to help us. Of course, we always look to this community first because it's so awesome. All of you guys have great specialties and all. So Mopar Al brings the sound. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Got my other amp fired back after. Oh, good, because I was afraid you might have blown that amp. I was going to follow up with you on that. With Tommy getting rowdy. No, I wasn't talking about you, but I heard other people say that. I have a feeling that you either weren't observed or were down the list. I don't know what all happened prior to that. We were in line as we were supposed to be. Andrew says we hate him missing the event. Worked 7 days a week for 3 straight weeks. Oh gosh, man, 91 and 86 hour weeks back to back. Well, we sure hope to have you back next year. We love having you guys there. So, and we're making some changes to the heads up class. I think you'll like them, but good stuff. Good stuff. It's all good stuff. If it was bad stuff, we wouldn't do it. Tony, I believe Tony is live, and his thumbnail for right after this live is already up. So, Unfinished Projects is Be on the Hunt for new channels for the No Name 500. Competition inspires excellence. Here's a new channel recommended by Big Block 402. There you go. I will say the No Name 500 has been a real driver for this because um, we more than made up for any attrition from 2023 from all the new faces. And I have a feeling that, the breakage gremlins, the bad luck gremlins, all these things, a lot of those people are going to get those resolved and come back because of the nature of them. Like, for example, the Nelsons, they'd be one such example of such. But we got so many new people who want to come back. And I think that next year we will probably have an appreciably bigger event. That's kind of what it looks like to me. But yes, if you see other channels, No Name 500 channels out there, if you see that guy making videos in his garage and he's got 200 subs and 2 commenters, and we can just give him an influx of engagement, he's like, oh, cool. This is what I've been looking for to happen with YouTube. Those are the people we need to find and reach out to them and say, hey, this is what we do. This is what our community does. LC Chapel says, glad in the path. It's strange because when Hurricane Hugo hit the South Carolina coast in 1989, it came directly up I-77 and hit my hometown hard. 70-mile-an-hour winds took over big trees. It was bad. My dad was out there running a chainsaw every day for a while, cleaning that up. And this is next to that in terms of bad. You can see big trees cut on. I gave it a few days, but he got hit again, my hometown. Now, when you go 20 miles on either side of it off that little corridor from the mountains, nothing but rain. One of my properties in a different town, untouched. This property, different town, untouched, but that one got hit. And so I got 3 there. Actually, 4th. I looked at 4 different places in the same town, and only one of them had any damage. So I'm happy with that. Barkley is here. The Schmidt Show Garage is here. Thanks for joining us. A lot of people still talking about Barkley and Dallas's match race. That was really something. That was a great match. Tony says live at 7. That's 7 his time, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. Tony will be live right after this. 7 Mountain. Okay. Well, anyway, in any event, it's right after this. Studebaker Al. Yeah, Barkley's in the house. Glad you're here. People are excited about coming back next year. And so I talked with Mayor Possum, and we're looking to see some other dates get set around it and all of that. And we should be announcing the fourth annual AHRA No Name Nationals the last Friday of this year. Consider this bonus time, though. I would be using it. Don't look for us to announce the No Name Nationals in April in Washington State. Don't, nothing like that will happen. But how would we consider this bonus time? One thing too, since this is kind of like the off season, so to speak, although people don't want much of an off season, we have so much fun, and we Bad Tree says Hawaii in 2025. It's funny you say that because for the first No Name Nationals, AHRA sanctioned a track in Hawaii. And Dallas and I are like, we could have the thing in Hawaii. It's just nobody can get their cars there. And it'd be expensive to go and all of that. And that's not what we're all about. I mean, Dallas and I didn't make this easy on us. I mean, we wanted to pick the right track, and that involved travel for us. Yes, Barkley, you are correct. You are correct. Yes, you are correct. I will get with you after this. In fact, I just did accounting on this yesterday. I have been absolutely inundated since I got back, and even before I got back. I unloaded in the dark and then had stuff to do at 9 o'clock at night when I got back, and it's still just, I'm still covered up. But you're right. So I just did the accounting last night. I'll get with you after this, Barkley. Evans Mopars could drive to that one. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense where we have it now. It's the middle of the country, but it is slightly biased toward the eastern half because that's where all the population is. So it makes sense. It is a long drive for some people. I know that T's Good Time Garage, he said he's excited about coming back in 2025. Family reasons. Again, there's a lot of people who had a lot of one off, unusual reasons that kept them out. And we understand that. But like, I expect Good Time T to be back and trying to win his second bracket title. But we've had three different guys win the bracket in 3 different years. Nobody has repeated yet. Mexican Spec says, how far in advance would you need to ship the cars over there? That would be a nightmare. The location is perfect and fair for all. I mean, everything is as good as you can get it. I mean, nothing's perfect for everyone. You can't pick that place. It's funny how that works, though, because there are some people who are like, "Oh, that's too far if it's 100 miles from them," and the guy that it's 1,000 miles away is like, "Oh, good man, that could have been the other coast or something." So it's all relative. Everybody's a little different in that. Paulson and I are planning on a major burnout upgrade. Yeah. Paulson and I talked a little bit about that on the pit and all that good stuff. So it is a lot of fun. I got to tell you, there's a lot of people that they don't know necessarily what to expect in the burnout competition, and then they go to one. I know every year Barkley's wife is like, "Oh man, she really enjoys it." And Possum said it was a blast. He hadn't been to one before, so it's a little different for sure. I knew that the YouTube crowd would really throw down in the burnout pit, and they always do. Old McDonald's asking, whatever happened to the mountain motors that were popular in the IHRA? Um, I don't know, man. And that 5-inch bore center stuff is just a whole other world. I don't know. I mean, you had the late Sonny Leonard that did a lot of that, and John Causey, but it's just outside the realm of what people like us do. People from St. Louis tell me it's too far. Yeah, it's all relative. I know a guy one time that he said he didn't want to train at Tactical Response in Camden, Tennessee, because he was waiting for him to have something closer to Nashville. He said, and the owner of Tactical Response said, "That's cool. I'll just wait until our student Yoshi, who comes here from Tokyo, flies into Nashville, and he can pick you up and take you to Camden." It's all relative. Mopars, Mustangs, and minivans. I expected to win monkey bike with my secret bike, but they were freaking fast. Oh yeah, monkey bikes were off the chain. I'm looking for more with Monkey Bike Eliminator for next year. Barkley says I drive 100 miles there every week, sometimes twice. Yeah. Buffalo Brian, don't ask me now. Ask me in about a month. Hey, if Brian wants to come back, we'd love to have him back. Yeah, there are some people. It's all relative to the person. There really isn't any standard. Like I have a friend that doesn't. To him, a 20-mile drive is like, oh man, that's 20. That's 20 miles away. I mean, to him, you would think he's literally going halfway across the country. And then there's other people that literally, like Tony there, can go more than halfway across the country and just does it. 1,590 miles each way for Tony. Yep, I actually figured that out from his street to the track, 1,590. It's because I was verifying who won Star Traveler, and it was Tony. And we had several people that were, getting up there toward his, but he was the clear winner on it. NSB says I drive 50,000 miles a year for work. What's 2,000? Yeah, I get that. I used to drive a lot of miles a year for work and not doing as many miles as I used to, and I'm not complaining. Yeah, the first No Name Nationals, Buff drove from Pendleton, Oregon. That's right. Yes, he did. Yeah, we had a lot of people come a lot of distance. We've had Canadians come down. Mongrels brought two cars down from, I think his name his town is Blackie, Alberta, or something like that. The record before was South Dakota. No, the record before was Canada. But where they came from, they're part of Arizona. They were. It's not the record. The record probably still is Mongrels. I want to say he was close to 2,200 miles. I think. I think he's the record. And we had another Canadian. I want to say 2,200 miles is the record. Oh, my record there. Yeah. Michael Robert. I don't know anything about it. I know they were talking about it on Wednesday. I don't know anything about it yet. I don't know anything about it. Dallas had mentioned something to me, and they were talking about it on Wednesday, and I don't know anything about it. So, Andrew Nelson says the Trailer West earlier this year been through 26 states and 122,000 miles, over 10,000 miles this year towing, and it was down a year. Yeah, that's a lot. Rapid Transit Jay says I don't like leaving the house, but I go to No Name Nationals. Well, cool. We're glad to have you. We're always like having Jay there. The first year at Lambert's, I ate dinner with Jay and Jason. And that was all completely random because they wouldn't let us make reservations to at Lambert's. We wanted to make a reservation for about 150 people or something like that. Now we won't make reservations. So we walked in there because we were all together like I was hoping we'd be. Uh, they said, how many in your party? And I looked over my shoulder and the line went out the door and wrapped around the building. I said, this is our party. So to whatever extent they want to sit together, you can probably just see who all wants to sit together and take them in groups. And that's exactly what they did. And so they just took us, and I wound up sitting with the Indirect Connection and Rapid Transit guys, and it was great. And they did it with Jason again this year, and it was Scott and Big Mike the year before that. And so it's just how it randomly works out. 10:30 total. Yeah, not even close on total distance, Victor, but that's not a short trip in a slant six that hasn't been running in a long time. Now I've driven some untested stuff. The only problem I had on the whole trip is I broke a belt in a tire. You could see an impression in the tread where I hit something like a piece of steel or something, ran over something I shouldn't have. And it didn't puncture the tire, but it hit it hard enough that it punched into it and broke a belt. And so as I got through central Tennessee and western Tennessee, I had a pretty good vibration at low speed. And time I got to Sykes, that steering wheel was moving like this at 20 miles an hour. So I changed the tire to track is no big deal. But that's the only problem I had was that. And it's weather was fine to change it. I just changed it on Sunday after everybody was gone. But the reason I didn't have any more problems is because I carried, 3 spares. Because a couple of years ago, and there's a picture of it on my community tab, I flattened 2 tires at the same time. I ran over a tire carcass on, what was that, 85 or 95? I think it's 85 coming back from Georgia. And I flattened 2 tires on the same side of the car. Oh, I had one spare and one slow leak. So I changed one. And then before the other was completely flat, I got it into town and I had some spoons with me and I changed it right there in the parking lot to Walmart, inflated it with starting fluid, uh, put that on and got back. That was some fun stuff. But anyway, I'm a little better prepared for the whole thing of getting 2 flats at once now. So I carry the little compressor and what I need, if I were to get a second flat. I have more problems getting flats with good tires than junk tires just because the tread is soft and it's so deep, it picks up more stuff on the road. Dr. Go took the long way home and a few wrong turns, so a 1,400-mile trip turned into 2,300. I'm glad you had fun. You two look like you have a lot of fun traveling, so I'm glad for that. Hope you come back. Danny Boyd, 2 full-size spares in my Corolla. Okay. Definitely prepared. I try. I mean, there's always going to be something that you don't have that you need. But I will tell you, at least at the No Name Nationals, you've got an awful lot of help there. But I think about that a lot. Pinhole directly underneath the cap in that Lancer radiator. Yeah. I'm just glad I didn't have that radiator tank explode on the van on the way down. I haven't even touched it, haven't even looked yet. He likes the idea of a qualifier for the bracket. Yeah, we could probably do that because the thing about the bracket is, and I was noticing this year, like Joe had a long line of cars behind him because nobody wanted to run him in the first round of the bracket. So you're right. I think it's time that we do a qualifier. Now that people have had a few years to fill out who the ringers are, yeah, I think it's a good idea. And it's not even for Blake because Blake's not that kind of guy. You're like, I'll just run anybody, and I know that's how Blake is. He's competitive and all that. But I think we're to that. I think you're right. I think we're to that point. We should probably just do a qualifier. There's a lot of administrative stuff like that. One thing I think you'll really like, I think, is going to kind of help administratively with staging lanes. Unfinished Project said if you never travel more than walking distance from home, you don't need to carry a spare. I know a guy who's a hiker, and he says for hikers, everything is walking distance. Like, good for you. I had a client one time who literally walked to my office from some town in Georgia for real. He was hiking the Appalachian Trail, and he got off the trail because it goes pretty close to my office. And he got off the trail, walked to my office, wanted to see some properties. And then he got here. He got to hanging out with his buddies from college because it's a university town. He's like, yeah, now I don't feel like getting on the trail again. So his visit kind of derailed his hike of the AT. Yeah, he got to stop and eat some real meals and hang out in this college town. And it kind of derailed the rest of the hike for him. But that's as far as if anybody walked to my office from Georgia. I can't remember where, but he got on the other end of the Appalachian Trail and he walked from there to Blacksburg, Virginia. Anything is walking if you have the time. I reckon so. I used to be able to really walk, like, and I don't know, not quite as much as I used to. Have to conserve it a little more. College towns usually have some cool characters. Yeah. The bad thing about here is that, with all this crazy wokeness that's going on lately, and then COVID was like a supercharger on top of the woke stuff. It's not the same, and it's a shame because 10 and 20 years ago it was great. It was fun, and a lot of that's not like it was. That's the bad thing about college towns. Yeah, it is now. It's just not like it was. It used to be a lot more fun. And the internet has really changed things a lot too. I know when I went to school at Virginia Tech, that was the first time in my life I had ever used the internet was at the library because I went to my first day of classes, and this was 96. Went to my first day of classes, and they said your syllabus is online and your homework is due on Wednesday. Yeah, that's what he means. Qualify bracket race. You have your time runs, but he's talking about pairing up the cars, probably with parity for their time runs. I think that's what he means, Barkley. So that you have closer to heads up parity in the bracket. I think that's what or at least that's the optics of it. I think for the point of video in the race from the starting line, I think that's what he means. I was assuming there, so if I'm wrong, correct me, Blake. Woke is ridiculous is killing Disney. Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that's just ruined. Max Wedge ran over my phone with my four wheeler. There's Dizzy, is he? Yeah, some tracks do it off reaction time. Some tracks total. Yeah, they're just you could do that. Again, though, with a bracket, it's in the end. In the end, it's going to be up to everybody, and the person that's going to run the best package is going to win. So, of ET or reaction, there you go. I ran over my brick phone in the '90s. It was fine. Yeah, but your brick phone doesn't work anymore. Well, maybe it might there. I don't know, but I know that those old phones won't work here. 38 Racing says with outstanding navigation skills, you shouldn't have gotten bored. I don't get bored. I don't know what boredom is. There's just too much life to do all the time. I don't understand the concept of being bored. We do off the buy best reaction to find. Yeah, okay. There's a lot you could do. I just, we had the beginners bracket race this year on the Saturday, which I thought was a lot of fun. Hopefully that encourages more people to get in the Friday bracket next year, but it'll be a lot of fun. What you running qualifying your dial for the whole race? Interesting. Yeah, Dallas likes that idea. He was telling me. Dallas has a neat idea for a way to do a bracket race. I thought was pretty cool. The brick phones don't work here. The system is state of the art here. Yeah, yeah, okay. I wasn't sure. I mean, there are some things that you guys have that are pretty neat that haven't had a forced modernization. So I wasn't sure. If you qualify a ladder on reaction time, worse versus, but yeah, there's different ways you could do it. But yeah, I see that. Yeah. LC Chapel wants to do everything, not enough time. I get it. I get it. I mean, I can think of 5 lifetimes worth of stuff to do. I totally get that. Jonathan Reed says the No Name Nationals concession food was great the first year when I went. How was it? What do you guys think? Tell us what you think about the concession stand food this year. I've heard good reports. What do you guys think? I do try to check in with the staff and just make sure everything's cool and if they need anything. But Let me know what you guys think. Evans Mopar's told his dad, I was bored once growing up, haven't been bored since. I just, I mean, I have a hard time even sleeping at night because there's so many cool things I'm still thinking about from the day. Sometimes good and bad, but it's just the idea of being bored is just that's a hard one to me. Concessions were always awesome, like always. Okay, that's good. Dr. Doe said I had good food and tried to support them each day. I appreciate them being there for us. I agree. They're always that track staff is fantastic. They are so good to us, and I really appreciate them. They work really hard. Man, they were there to help everyone. So I appreciate that. Very much appreciate those guys. And the ladies, that was really nice. Wind light only, yeah. That's I like the wind light only. Food was good. Chicken was too hard though. Well, the reports I have are generally good about the concession. 113 cycles. I didn't have to cook, so it was excellent. If you haven't seen the short I made of 113 cycles, Ryan there, his tattoo on his arm, you can see that. He literally has a 6-inch ruler tattooed on his arm, and he can measure bolts and stuff on his arm. I thought that was neat. Cultured Redneck says the fajitas were a great addition this year. Yep. Cultured Redneck Kyle's there every year, and I love getting to watch him and the Doom Buggy this year. That was fantastic. Barkley says we enjoy you all coming. Yeah, we're going to just try to make that. We got some ideas and little adjustments we'll make next year to make everything even better. It's a good crowd every year, and it'll be good. I literally have still yet to unpack from that event. Like, somebody orders a shirt, I still have not got it unpacked from transport. Um, I mean, I just deposited the gate yesterday afternoon. I still got a few little bonuses and things I need to mail out because there was so much going on right there at the tower. By the time I got all that done, I'm like, man, all right, I'm going to have to mail them out. But we're getting there. This event that Saturday got really busy on me, like right on the Saturday, but it's all good. It was great, a lot of fun. Dougster's here. Yeah, link to Dougster there. Rich says, Dean Stevens said Rich has blocked me. Yeah, Rich blocked me probably 2 years ago. Yeah, at least I didn't have an Oldsmobile to break the fall of the tree that hit my window. I couldn't resist that one. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. You know, I don't solicit super chats or anything, but when we get them, they do go in the No Name Nationals General Fund. In fact, all of my YouTube revenue goes in the No Name Nationals Fund, just for what it's worth. Dizzy says I can't message just emoji or send donation. Dizzy, I saw your message in here. You're certainly not blocked. You're not blocked, Dizzy. You're not blocked. There's about half a dozen people who are blocked, and they know who they are, and they're not part of this community. Yeah, that's a cool tattoo. With it. I'm not a tattoo guy at all. In fact, I'm needle phobic. But I thought that was really interesting. It's definitely the only video I've ever done on a tattoo. Doug is a great announcer. Yes. So the slow race in the pits, like it's like a 1 mile an hour monkey bike race they do in the pits. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. And the Dougster is the MC. It's great. Good stuff. We were watching that on a Saturday night. Uh, I think Lars and I were talking with Michael Yielding and his wife in the pits, and we're watching this. It was quite a hoot. No, it's all good, Damien. That was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that. Yeah, there's a good video on the monkey bike slow race. Uh, if one of the mods can grab that, that'd be cool. I can't remember exactly where I saw it now, but it might have been on Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans channel actually. Lowry's Garage, welcome. Dougster giving out potatoes. I've been getting a lot of compliments on cardboard cope. Yeah, unfinished projects says I'm unable to comment on Copes and Landon's shorts. It's frustrating. Yeah, there are a few weird glitches with YouTube. Like you are definitely like for instance, unfinished project without question is not blocked on Cope's channel. He's a mod on Cope's channel, but there's something that keeps him from being able to comment on Cope's shorts. Um, I cannot get notifications for Two Hacks Jeff's channel. Cannot. I even send him a video. When I try to ring the bell, I'll click it and then it immediately goes back to a slash through it. It will not let me get notifications for Jeff's channel. I'm subscribed. There are some glitchy little things on YouTube like that. Yeah, so Damien says it's on the Mopars, Mustangs, and Minivans channel. Yeah, if you check area, so Unfinished Project put up the link to the slow monkey bike race and check it out if you get a chance. It is a lot of fun. Those little things are fun, and they are flying now. Um, they've shown us things are fast, so I'm looking for some cooler. We're gonna do some cooler stuff with Monkey Bike next year. We're gonna do some cooler stuff with Monkey Bike. You watch. Indirect Connection still has his potato from Dougster on the satellite's dash. Cool. Yeah, be careful. That thing will take root. Dougster was honored to announce the slow race. Yeah. We really, depending on when you do it, no, I think I'd like to actually put that on the schedule next year. Uh, as part of like the social part of the program. And we'll put that out there. If we can have it at a certain time and all, I think that'd be fun. So, like I said, the monkey bikes have they've gotten some foothold in this. We're gonna do more with monkey bike next year because they were flying. I mean, it's pretty exciting to watch those little things running 50 miles an hour. It's pretty cool. It's about all I'm comfortable with seeing them do, but they'll do it. Those things move much better than the first 2 years. Those things were moving, and they outrun some of the cars too. Yeah, D. It's yeah. So this year was an experiment to see how people see. There's some experiments that we do. We ask people, "Hey, what would you think about this?" And then we see what actually happens. We're like, okay, so it sounded like a good idea, but then it didn't go. So with the monkey bike rules change, like, well, let's see what people do. And it's like, yeah, they showed us this is what we want. So we're going to do more of it. Slow race. Yeah, yeah. I agree, Dougster. No, I think everything you're doing is great. I just think it'd be neat to get that. If we can get a time on it, so we can kind of advertise that, so people could get out and say, "Hey, these guys are doing this," and get it more formally put out there for people to watch. I think that will be a lot of fun. I don't know what that goes with, Victor. Not sure. Traveling trophy. Oh wow. Anthony says, new to this, run stock cars direct. You can run anything you want. We had cars there that ran 17 seconds in the eighth. We had cars there that would run nearly a five flat and everything in between. So whatever you have, you can bring it out and come have fun. You can literally bring something that you got out of the woods and make run. It does have to pass certain tech. I mean, like, even the slowest cars, you must have a helmet, you must have a battery hold down, radiator overflow, etc. Some of that basic tech. And then, of course, as your ET drops, you have more tech that you do have to pass. We do run a pretty good tech program, but these guys have been around through 3 years of this now. They got it all together because they've been through tech, each time. But that said, we'll help you. We have 2 live streams on tech. You can ask questions of that, but yeah, there's a place for everything. We have a 1916 Model T Ford that runs a 17-second eighth mile. Um, we had an S10 that was knocking on the doors of getting into fours. So everything in between. Mopar Al's helping to move an RV, a fifth wheel. Yeah. Oh man, I knew someone that would always get me to help her move the fifth wheel, and the thing always had the battery dead. Oh man, it just feels like you have to turn that crank. It seems like that crank moves it like a half a millimeter a turn. You just get worn out having to raise it that way. But I don't know. I guess considering what they weigh, it's got to be like that. I'd win though. Yeah, I got to tell you, check it out. You have to have 500 subs to race a burnout competition, but a lot of people here have done that, and you've got nearly a year to get it. And there's all kinds of help. And so, if you're new to, especially if you're new to YouTube or new to the community, check out the No Name 500. We have a lot of No Name 500 alumnus right here in the chat. It's a very helpful community that will help you uh, with everything. I mean, a lot of support for your projects too, and this is a true community. It's just fun, socialize. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's a people event. So prioritize getting there yourself, and then the cars take care of themselves after that. I mean, we have a lot of people that their car can't make it for whatever reason, something didn't get done, whatnot, but they still come in just to hang out with the community, and that's cool. Yeah, well, the thing that the bracket for the monkey bikes is something a little different in response to something else, but that true, yeah, that's a good idea, and it is really the way to go, all things considered. Oregon to Missouri, Scott comes from Washington State. Buff Del Campo came from Oregon. Tony comes from Prescott, Arizona. We had the Night Ranger come from San Diego. T comes from Utah. We got several folks that come from that way. Barrows came down the first year from Idaho. There's a lot of people that make that travel, and it's a lot of fun. So if you like the community and the folks in it, it's worth coming out. And the thing is there's carpools that can work out too. So just if you hanging out here on Fridays is where you'll meet probably the most people of the community. But there are other good live streams like Tony's is on after the, and I don't want to forget. I'm not seeing anybody out because I forget them, but Tony's is a good one. The Wednesday Tech Talk Live on the AHRA channel with Dallas and Professor P's, another good one. There's lots of them, and Buff and Kim are live practically every night. But there's a lot of lives where you could meet folks in this community. But the Friday is probably the biggest cross section where they come and go. But that said, yeah, meet people in the community. It's a lot of fun. They come from everywhere. Evans Mopar says community has the letters U and I. You and I, that's what the No Name National is all about. Yeah, it's a people event, and it's a blast. Wouldn't trade it for anything. The mission statement of the No Name Nationals is really this simple. I just wanted to have a cookout in the middle of the country with my YouTube friends at a drag strip because I knew there was no way I could ever live long enough or afford to, in time or money, go and see everybody that I would like to meet that I've met through the YouTube automotive community. And so the only way to do it was try to get one nice stage together in the middle of the country to get them all to come to. And it worked. Well, Junkyard D, that the bracket thing kind of came up because of a confluence of events. But that said, I think that, well, I'll tell you what, Junkyard D's So I always look to people who have their finger on the pulse of certain things to get their input when I need to make an adjustment on the fly. And Junkyard D is somebody that I did that with when it comes to the regard to the class there at the event. I look for leadership within the class to ask these questions. Um, I asked Chris because we had rain before the burnout competition. Chris does a lot of burnout competitions, and he had a lot of experience. Uh, so I do that, and so D did help provide some leadership on that, and I appreciate that. But I do that a lot. I know that the very first year for burnout competition, I asked Blake. I said, "Hey, you've run a lot of burnout competitions. Ask him some certain things we're looking for in the pit, so that things we might overlook that somebody who's got that experience can opine on." And I do this a lot, actually. Amplified sound. I know to ask Mo Parral. I had some technical computer stuff. I knew to ask Tony, Hot Rod Garage. Um, it surprised you. We have people who know a lot of stuff in this community about a lot of different things. So, unfinished projects, as I'm under a rock most of the time. I had no idea Cookie Monster was at that level. I've seen a time slip on Cookie Monster that will turn you white. That car's faster than you think. Yeah. I'll put it like this. That car is running. He had the front. We have video proof. That car had the front wheel up at 150 feet. We got a picture of that. We have video proof of that. You could see it. And that car is quicker than what it was running there. And I've seen the slip. That car's mean. He actually came really close because of the hole shot he got running that Instigator Nova. He really had a shot beating that car. That was a great race. I got to tell you, Dallas cutting down the tree on Michael Yielding. Of course, these guys, in fairness, I will say, it's not like they were asleep at the light or anything. They know they have faster cars. So I think, and I'm not speaking for them, but I speculate they were making sure not to go red. So they're like, let's just make sure not to go red, and we're odds of running them down are better. I think that was the strategy, probably. Most of those really quick hammers it turned out. But Dallas and Professor P had to take shots at the tree, and they did, and it worked. They were out there at 3:30. He would have won had he not missed second. Yeah, it was really close. Blake says if you don't come for the racing, come for the BTP swap meet. Yeah, they always have parts and swap stuff out on their trailer and whatnot. And the BTP camp is definitely a fun one to go visit. The No Name Nationals has different neighborhoods. Like you've got the Camp Dust Devil neighborhood down there at the end of the pits, and you've got JB and Buck and Mohawk and Lars and crew over there in Tent City, and then you've got the really boring administrative end over there where I am, but then you got Joe and BTP and that gang, and Ross was up there in that corner. And that's a really fun place to be. So yeah, definitely go check out the various neighborhoods, but you must go by Camp Bad Tree. Those guys are a lot of fun, and it's always worth hanging out with them. So Mopar out to the burnout to a new level. Mopar out throws down in that burnout pit. Yes. Mopar Al gives a lot to this event in general, and I really appreciate him. Big props to Mopar Al. Again, he does stuff behind the scenes, people don't see, like our sound. And there's a lot of you guys who are like that. And I mean, I'll tell you someone who never asks for an ounce of credit is Lars. Lars is hugely helpful to me. I could not physically get setup done without the help of Lars this year. Couldn't have done it. We have a lot of help. Ron Ward, I mean, you hear him on the mic. He's the voice of the No Name Nationals. He's wonderful at what he does. But Ron also has a lot of wisdom about racing from all of his experience. And he sees things from the tower that I might not see. And so Ron is a big help to us, too. There's a lot of ways that people help that you might not get to see. Um, so just know that. We got a lot of rock stars in our community. Evans Mopars wants to see Anthony bring a Mopar. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, Mopar is still definitely the most represented make. That percentage has come down a little in subsequent years. There's more parity this year. I figured this would be the year of the Ford, and we had a lot of Fords there. So, Mopar Alice has big changes to the truck coming. Oh, look out. Boy, Al's not shy. He doesn't want to leave the pit with good tires. I got to tell you. Everybody who was in the pit this year put on a wild show. Anthony says he's a GM guy. Well, that's fine. There's plenty of GMs there too. Dougster says JMJ is a great guy. Yes, he is. He is a really good guy. 38 says I'm trying to get the Chevy count up. Yeah, sure. I get the overall count up. I just want people who understand the community and what we're doing, the community oriented aspect of it, and the cars will follow. Yeah, that's cool. Going to fireproof the truck. Well, that's a good idea, Al. We had a lot of fire extinguishers out there. Um, you know, we do need fire. We generally have some kind of couple little petty fires in the burnout competition each year. Nothing bad, but in those events, you do have little fires to put out. Nothing. We've never had anything bad. Um, I do call the fire department in Minor every year, but it's not because of fire. It's because people like William, 100-foot column of smoke right next to the interstate would be concerning. And I'm sure that people on I-55 call about that many times, that evening. So we give them a heads up. And they've never come out there because of it. So. All are welcome. Most of us just happen to have Mopars. Yeah, there's a lot of Mopar, but I'll take it. I mean, I want to see more Mopar next year and maybe more of the other stuff too. It's all good. It's all good. We've had Mopar win the bracket the first 2 years. GM won it the third, and then on the Saturday bracket, we added a Saturday bracket. A Ford won that. Um, we've had a Mopar and a GM win in the burnout pit. We've got some parity. We had a Ford win 28-10-5 last year. We had a Chevrolet win it this year, and we had a Mopar win it the first year. So every make is well represented in what they've done. Indirect Connection says I came for the people. Yeah, that's the reason to be there, is the people and your fellow content creators, and the cars just come with it. Yeah, Pontiac. We had a lot of Pontiacs the second year. That was kind of the year of the Pontiac. This year was kind of the year of the Ford. Although Mopar's always been the highest represented make, I am totally fine if that changes. I just want my friends to come back. That's why we do this. It's all good. We have great camaraderie. Yes, we do. Indeed. And that's a big thing the No Name 500 helps create, is that camaraderie. Um, everybody is pulling for people to get their subs and watching their content, and we help each other. And by the time they get through that experience, they want to meet the people and shake their hands, the people that helped them get there. And that No Name 500 goes a long way toward that. And we've had, I think, 80 some alumni of the No Name 500 alone, in addition to our established channel, for lack of a better term. That's what we call them. And so, we've had everyone from 517 subs up there. Well, actually, we've had people get their 500th sub while the event's going on. So we've had everybody from 500 subs up to 140 some thousand. And when you go through the pits, you don't know who's who. There's no one's pulling rank. Nobody's glamorous. Um, it's all just one big family. But that experience of the No Name 500 and that little bit of competition bringing out the best in people is wonderful. Indirect Connections got to run. All right, man. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate you. I'll give a reminder that Tony's Hot Rod Garage does go live here after us in 30 minutes, and we're going to hand off to him here in a little bit. Anthony Chancellor says a sport rally won't interchange bolt holes or a quarter inch off in 76. I don't even know what that means. It must be some GM talk. I'm not sure there. Dr. Go got to learn a little bit more about the racetrack and everything. Yeah, Dr. Go, have some fun. Come out and get in the bracket the next year. It's just fun. Doesn't cost you anything extra. You never know. You can go a round or two. You never know. You never know what'll happen. Unfinished Project said he heard there's fresh okra at the buffet. That's why Jason bolted. I wish I could zoom in off my phone. I'm working on my streaming woes here. I'll be able to zoom in again soon. But yeah. Apparently, Wisconsin folks are not okra people. I'm not really either, but at least I know what it was. It's like grits, and grits is. I have never craved eating grits. They're okay if they're done right, but I know what they are. 38 Racing says, I've been coming just to see a certain Pontiac guy run down the track. It took 3 years. Okay. Well, Parial says, can't eat that stuff. Grits are okay if they're done right, but grits, can certainly be done wrong, and most of them are. Bigfoot Mark is in the house. How's it going, sir? Yeah, Dr. Go. Yeah, just keep honing those skills and come back. Lovejoy says, do I have to wait until dates are announced to film a call out? You can do whatever you want. Here's the thing, though. The first year, I think all of us learned what the odds are that some people will have their call out ready to go. Because we would have people doing two. Oh gosh, just stop me in my tracks. Dust Devil Garage said instant grits. That should be not have been invented. Anyway, I digress and go back. When you make a call out, it takes both of them have to get ready and get there for the call out to happen. So you can do it. It's just, the odds that your dance partner's ready too, that's another story. And there's a whole year of life to happen in there. The kid in the fifth actually listened to me about not needing to do burnouts and a few other things, and dude went faster every pass, knocked out Hippie in round one. I'm proud of him. Yeah, let me tell you, Blake knows stuff about brackets and racing in general. And Blake also, for you newcomers, you might not know this, but Blake is actually a killer in the burnout pit. He's just brought a car to race in years 2 and 3. So if you're relatively new to the No Name Nationals, you might not know that Blake is actually a really good burnout operator too. What's with the balloons? There's this weird thing they have. I wish I could just turn off that if you do certain things on the screen, it'll see you do it. What it just saw me to do to trigger the balloons, I don't know. But usually you can get it to do a thumbs up if you get the focus right. Let's see. Sometimes yeah, see, it'll do that too. I don't like it at all. It's just like live reactions. It's just something to turn off. The live reaction is where it puts the heart that covers up the last comment. Nobody likes that. And that other stuff, I don't know what that is either. Bad Tree says, I'm cheap. Tires are expensive. Everything's expensive now. Okra Winfrey? No. .38 says, I'll call out Connor right now. Yeah, you can make, the call outs are your guys' things. they moved the heart down so it doesn't cover anything. Last I saw, it was still covered. As of yesterday, it looked like it was still covering the last comment. I don't like it at all. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those solutions in search of a problem. No one asked for it. I get rid of it and that other stuff I would turn off too. I need to look into that. Anthony Chancellor's trying to work on something not fitting or whatever. Okay. Now, Anthony Chancellor, do look into the No Name 500. I'm guessing you have fewer than 500 subscribers, but that is a great experience. And it is so much fun to watch these guys run and earn their way in. Barkley says, I'm good to run Dallas again if he wants to rematch. Y'all work it out. I'd like to see it. Everybody's talking about your match race. I know that. Uh, that was definitely one of the highlights of the event. A lot of people are talking about Dallas and Barkley running that match race. That was a lot of fun. We'll see you, Andy. Thanks for coming by, buddy. No censorship zone. Yeah, but I still choose to keep this family friendly. People can certainly run their channels how they want to. And that's how I want to run this one. Family friendly channel, family friendly event. The 454 truck doing hippie style burnouts every pass was super unnecessary and interesting. Okay, yeah. What axle in that Fifth Avenue 8 3/4? I doubt it. Although he was running it hard, I'm going to guess it was an 8 1/4. But we'll let Connor answer that one. It's a smaller. Yeah, it's probably the 8 1/4. I'm guessing. I mean, would an M-body could it even had a 7 1/4? I don't think it's probably an 8 1/4. I would guess. The Dallas and Barkley pick is the cover of the Facebook group Wheels Up. Yep. Yeah, that's a great photo. Great moment right there. Loved it. 38 says, so are burnouts unnecessary with street tires? You know what? I got opinions on that, but we got people more qualified than I. So let's see what Blake and Barkley, and some of you guys do a lot of racing. What are your thoughts on the burnouts with street tires? Yeah, I think it was the two finger thing, Colleen, but I'm not sure. I just want to turn that stuff off. He didn't used to do that. I never asked for it. Then all of a sudden it started doing it. So unnecessary with an open rear for sure. I don't know about that. I know 318 will run. He does two burnouts, one on each side with the slicks on his Duster. All right, Mr. Rotter says, I don't know if I'll have a car next year or not, but if I do, you're on. There we go. Okay, so here's a guy who knows a lot about the M-body, Mean Street Mopar. He has one. 7 1/4 unless you ordered the towing package in the end. So you could get a 7 1/4 in those M-body. Okay, I wasn't sure. Main Street Mopar would know though. Tony says street tires get greasy when you burn out. Yeah, Victor couldn't do a burnout. That's okay. BNR, the 454 truck, was that you? Were you the guy doing the John Force burnouts in the truck? Because we had a few trucks doing some serious burnouts there. Yeah, you could do a gear swap on the. Of course, here's the thing, Dougster. The best thing to do is you can drive whatever rear you want to and put an overdrive in it. You can do an A500 or a 518 cheaper than you can do a gear vendors, and now you can build them better. The CRT stuff, they hold up. Okay, so BNR is doing his burnouts. I saw him make a couple passes. BNR comes and puts a lot of passes in. I hope you're able to get there earlier though next year, Brian. I hope so. You sure seem to have a good time. Depends. Tire pressure's a biggie. Yep. Yeah, we had some people lumberjacking it this year, and I thought it was great going after the tree. Dallas and Polito both admitted they just took a shot at that instant green and got lucky. You got to do what you got to do when you're running stuff running low fives, though. It was a lot of fun. Those were some fun races. Yeah, One Eyed Cat was doing that. He would get the burnout one wheel on the other. That's right. 318 wheel run was doing that. Mohawk, what you need is to get a 46 RH from an old church van or something and stick in that car. And then you can have the gear and you can have an overdrive for cruising. That's the hot ticket. Travis is here. He's doing night shifts, but he's sticking his head in to say hi. How's it going, Travis? Glad you can make it. Travis out there with Old Red this year. Always good to see him. Mean Street would like to find the B body 8 3/4. The B bodies are still findable. Uh, the A body's gone. Bucket seats and floor shift console, yeah. Blake found his best on the SRT8 with Nittos, yeah. Mickey Thompson's got me smashing the pedal best 60s, of course. I don't have any experience with the Nittos, but I know a lot of people who've run them. I've, you know, I've run a little on Mickey Thompson's and some on the Hoosiers, but mostly Mickey Thompson's. A bodies are all over Mexico. I'm taking orders for next year No Name Nationals cars. I'll tell you, Mexican spec, it'd be a good thing to get together. I mean, it'd be interesting. Tall Garage where they're 833s and 4x4s. I'm not sure because they put a lot of those in trucks, and Chevy trucks had them. I'm not sure. I would think probably if they had a divorce transfer case. I'm not sure. That's a good question for truck people, but there were plenty of them in two-wheel drive trucks. Chevrolet used a lot of those. Well, 833 with the overdrive is what I'm talking about. A body 8 3/4 bolts right into an M body. Yeah, but you're talking about a lot of money for that. At that point in time, just get one out of a truck or something and cut it down. So Main Street Mopar says 8 3/4 and a 4x4 Dodge. Yeah, it was an MP 435. Yeah, I knew that was what they had like in the 80s and such. That was a popular transmission. I wasn't sure about the 833 if there was any variant of that, but no, you're right. And that came with a 208 transfer case at MP 435. You used to drive a company truck like that, had a 208 transfer case. So, yeah. Yep. And that, I'd be hard pressed to want to use those for performance use. Um, they are truck transmissions. I'd like to get a 4x4 tail housing if someone has. Yeah, he has the GM 833. Okay, yeah, that's the easy part. I don't know if there is. I don't know if GM did it or not. That's a good question. There's plenty of GM truck guys around, so I'd ask one of them. Travis says next year he'll be in the bracket race. If he can swing it, he'll have a burnout truck. Yeah. I can see Travis throwing down in the burnout pit. Yes, I can. Yep, B&R's truck is 5,000 pounds. Stock exhaust manifolds, EGR, cats, and everything. Bad Tree Production says sixes, Travis. So Dallas says Chevy trucks use the 833 overdrive. Yes, dual drilled for GM and Mopar bell housings. GM input, right? But would GM have a 4x4 tail shaft or housing? I don't know if GM did or not. I know they were set up like that for the on the bell housing end. It's just something way out of my wheelhouse. No more burnout pits for my truck. Well, Tony, you got some great pictures out of this one. A lot of people were talking about the 78 Dodge in the burnout pit, that for sure. With the American flag and the smoke, the pictures were worth it. Travis has got to sneak back into work. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Clint has a General Motors 833. Yep. We're just wondering about the four-wheel drive deal. I know his is two-wheel drive. We got a couple of diplomats and junkyards here. They both had 318s, and I took both 318s out of them. Lovejoy says if I can get it together, I'd like to bring the square body next year. Sure. Anyone going to be at SEMA this year? After 25 years, I finally got an invitation from work. Congratulations. Good deal. Glad you got that. I'm looking forward to the content from it. Mr. Rodder says my Suburban is 5,400 pounds. He was in the bracket with that staging deep. Got to see the photo. I don't know any demo guys. Buffalo Brian in the chat here. Buffalo Brian is a demolition derby guy. Yeah, I like the early A's. It's just that 2 inches narrower in the engine bay makes it tight. It makes a difference. It's already too tight with headers for the 67 to 76A body. That's why when people do 66 and down, they almost always just do fender well. It's all fit. That's what Cookie Monster has, is the fender well. B&R likes racing the truck. Nothing's broken. Yeah, by all means, do it. Although people really would like to see one of your Pontiacs show up. He's got two cool Pontiacs that slowly coming together, and who knows, maybe B&R will bring something else a little faster. But hey, if you're happy, bring the truck. That's totally fine. Anthony says square body has one big issue in the 4x4. I don't know. That's just stuff I don't know about. We have square body Chevys out there every year. Tony says I'd love to see one of B&R's ponchos. Me too. Jabo says with street tires, look for the lowest tread wear rating. 200 is soft, 600 is like plastic. Good advice. Jabo knows things. Dougster wants to see a B&R Pontiac. The GM 833 is new process 440, not 435. Okay. Bigfoot says, hoping my car will handle making a pass next year. Low compression 440, an old Plymouth sedan. Nothing says how hard you have to run anything. Buffalo Brian runs a toolbox filled with ice as a transmission cooler. Radiator doesn't work too good for Derby. Buffalo Brian knows stuff. Cope came out with a good valve body for demo Derby cars. It's valved to only have first and reverse, so the low reverse band can stay on all the time. Keeps you from breaking it going reverse to drive. Very smart. And it'll also help protect the sprag and therefore the drum from blowing up going reverse to drive because the band stays on all the time. Never comes off. It doesn't have to. So I thought that was pretty smart. That's a keep you from breaking and make your car safer at the same time addition for your demo Derby car. Of course, that's just for a torque flight. So BNR wants to have $125,000 of insurance on his 70 Pontiac TA for No Name Nationals. Okay. An enclosed trailer, if you're that concerned, an enclosed trailer will go a really long way. But, I mean, I've never heard of anything getting messed with or hurt at No Name Nationals. Oh, man, Scott. What a terrible story. Scott's first car, a 65 Dart GT, was completely stripped down for demo Derby when I got it when I was 15. Dad traded his 71 440 Roadrunner for it. Next week, the Roadrunner took its place in the Derby and was all smashed up. What a horrible story. Oh, what a terrible story. Scott's got a couple of years on me, so that was in the 90s that happened. Ugh, how terrible. Insurance is usually void at a track. Yeah, Blue Grit's right. Your insurance companies, unless you have some special arrangement with them, they don't want to hear about insurance losses at a racetrack. He's concerned about the travel. Well, do what you think you need to do. Bad Tree says, I just remember seeing a sea of C-body barges running into each other. Yeah. It's a shame those cars just gotten used up like they have. Man, those Derby guys don't care. They don't care today. They'll take the nicest of the nice. If it's a deal, they just take it and run it. It's a shame. Tony says you have to buy special insurance for racing. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is you have to have insurance for the event. And it's not cheap. Jeff found an insurance company that covers drag races and stuff. Yeah. Now, read the fine print on all that stuff carefully because most of the people that craft those policies don't have a clue. So just make sure that you're all on the same page. It's not a shame. It's criminal. It's just unscrupulous. Colleen said, my insurance agent said no drag racing. Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, it's one of those things. You don't get caught, but then again, if you need the policy, you are caught. So it's, what do you do then? Haggerty will sell it, but it's expensive. Yeah, I can see that. I got to tell you, I think there's a lot of things it liberates when you have a street car and a drag car. And that purity of purpose has a huge benefit because there's some things you stop worrying about. You stop worrying about balancing all of these things. Silver Lake sand dunes, brand new trucks. I don't care about the brand new stuff get destroyed. They just make more of that. I just hate to see stuff that's made at 50 and 60 years and people just trashing it. I hate that. It's something that will never be around for anybody after us. I hate to see that happen. Yeah, Derby guys want that 64. I'll bet. I don't care. We could find the last Imperial on Earth in a museum, and Derby guys, hey, you gonna sell that? I just, anyway. But there's all kinds of this stuff winds up getting crushed these days too. If you look at these videos, the car crushing channels on YouTube, um, and I don't blame those guys. They go there, the stuff's rotted, and they're hired to take. But you know what? All avenues either have been exhausted or no one cared before that. So it's not the fault of the person who crushes them. It's the fault of the people who let them get there. And Tony just dragged my feet. We'll get a few more minutes. So yeah, we'll hang out. Most sanctioned derbies, yeah, but there's plenty of them out there. There are 64, 5, 6 Imperials still getting destroyed to this day. To this day. Rust free ones. They even want the rust free ones. They don't care. 71 to 76 Chevrolet wagons, that's like the prime for them, especially the classes where they can weld and reinforce. They don't care. Dizzy says best thing about the Vagrant, very few. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like the early A bodies like Dizzy's. I think it's cool. Scott. Scott says somebody asked to do whether there's big Mopars for Derby. Scott's like, nope. Thing is, though, if you look at these modern Derby cars, like that demo channel that's all about it, that league, those car, all the demolition happens to them in the garage. They go find one of these survivor cars. Never matters how nice it doesn't matter. I mean, they could find a 60,000-mile car, rip into that thing. And they do all this creasing and hammering on the panel. I mean, those cars are destroyed before they ever go in the Derby pit. It's not like the destruction happens out there on the field. No, the destruction happens in the shop. And they wind up creasing all the quarter panels and reinforcing the doors and welding all this stuff together. I mean, those cars practically don't look any different after the Derby than before, the way they set them up to run. I guess the only bright side is that they can run a lot of derbies with the same cars. Cash for Clunkers ate up 700,000 good usable cars. Cash for Clunkers was unforgivable. And that was Bush 43 who did that. Absolutely awful. I don't know if that overlapped with Obama or not, but I believe Bush 43 was the one who instituted that. I think it was right before Obama. I'm not completely sure. Tony says, I can't stand needless destruction of cars. Yeah, well, it is what it is. 38 Racing tried to buy a 59 four-door hardtop 348 car out of a demo lineup. Yeah, well, yeah, I hear you. There was a guy that used to live down the road a little bit from me that had about three 5960 Thunderbirds in his backyard. And you know what those were for, I'm sure, although I never saw one built for it. Happened during Obama. He pushed it. Okay. I was thinking it was actually right before that with Bush 43. It was really close to right at that break point. But regardless, that was horrible. It hurt the aftermarket parts industry, trashed all kinds of these old cars. People were dragging them out of everywhere for that. That's a real shame. Yeah, why don't we have cash for clunkers on old paintings? There's too many of them. Let's just offer a bounty for every one of them we can throw in a fire. I mean, what's the point in that? I don't understand. Dougster says I campaigned an '84 Olds Delta '88 through 4 county fair demo derbies in one summer. Then a guy bought it for me for an autocross car, the jumping kind off-road track. Dougster, do you have any pictures of you running a demo derby in an '84 Olds? You really need to post that. Buff said it ruined my used car business. Oh, I bet. I bet. There's Hugh Robinson. How's it going, sir? He found us just recently. He's somebody who we hope's going to jump in the No Name 500. Now's the time to start working on it. We'll have a No Name 500 come out. Should be the last Friday of the year. Mexican specs at the Derby guys are all we have to pay $65 for a small piece of trim. Now that I don't know about, because as you would think they would have buckets of trim and mirrors and chrome and stuff they don't use. You would think. You would think they could flood the market with that stuff that they don't use. You had a bunch of Delta 88s. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Delta 88. All I know is I had a neighbor that had one time who was changing oil, and he got what he thought was finished, fired it up, goes inside. That thing was knocking like crazy. And I just happened to be going by. I said, "Hey, man, car's making a noise." And he goes, "Oh," and he goes running back and shuts it off. He never put the oil in after he put the plug back. Yeah, if it gets tossed, I don't know. I guess they just like destroying stuff. Our junkyard was paying $300 a car, and guys were bringing 3 cars a day. Oh well, the Cash for Clunkers was paying like $4,500. They still paid a lot, for scrap price. But Bad Tree Blake is out. We'll see you, man. I'm just gonna hang around about another 5-10 minutes, give Tony time, but we'll just hang around just a few more minutes for Tony. Even though we're at the end of our time, he did ask for that. He wanted to get a hot handoff from this live, so we'll hang out just a few more minutes, give him some time. Thanks for coming by, Blake. We appreciate you, man. Very much looking forward to seeing you next year. I got to tell you, the Bad Tree guys, they are, you just need them there. They really do help make the spirit of the event. Hugh Robinson said he's doing an LS3 swap with a 6L80 and an 03 Crown Vic. Project with his grandkids. Got serious when he saw videos of No Name Nationals. On the last Friday of the year, there's going to be a number appear on this orange paperback there. And see, and that'll tell you how many days it is, and the clock and calendar wait for no one. So I'd get on it. But I'll tell you what, I always just plan to be there first. The video is about the event is about the people, and then the cars come second. So make plans to get yourself there, and then the cars will follow, and hopefully we'll see your project too. Tony says live in 5. Yeah, so we'll hand off to Tony at 10:07 here in the East. How about that? Yeah, Lars mentioned Lars is good like that. But I'll tell you, Hugh, there's a lot of guys who are alumni of the No Name 500, including Tony's Hot Rod Garage. He's a No Name 500 guy. That Mama M3 is calling Tebow from Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans. They are No Name 500 folks. 38 Racing is No Name 500. Dizzy's No Name 500. So a lot of people here are. My Aunt Nancy there, Nancy Cook, is not No Name 500. We're glad to have her. Videos from Junk Car Willie. Junk Car Willie probably puts out more video than anyone. Willie has incredible, unmatched energy. But he's always there, and we love having him there. Dizzy says, welcome, the best family on YouTube. I agree. You guys are awesome. So, yeah, Warren Mods can pop up the link to Hugh's channel. That's cool. We're going to have, we should be announcing the fourth running of the No Name 500 come the last Friday of the year. And it specifically is for channels with fewer than 500 subscribers. And there's a lot of support to help get you there. Hugh's asking to go live every Friday at 10, 9 your time. Well, actually, it's 8 o'clock in the East my time. So I'm live from 8 to 10 Eastern every Friday, which is 7 to 9 Central every Friday. The only Friday I'm not live is generally from the Burnout Pit at the No Name Nationals, because there's lots of other people streaming and doing stuff too at the same time. And I am really busy during that event, keeping people from trying to film over the guardrails. But that said, I'm live every Friday, because that's the time I set aside to be with you guys, and it's a lot of fun. So we got 2 minutes left, and we'll hand off to Tony over there at Tony's Hot Rod Garage. We'll be Tony. Is that a link to your live, by the way? And Tony, if you could you put up a link to Hugh Robinson's channel there? Buff and Kim will be live tonight later on. Yeah, and you can always go over there to Slant Daily's channel. Yep, that's a link to Tony's live. Tony will be live right after us. So we're going to hand off here in just a minute. And here is a link to a Hugh's channel. Go over there, check him out, see if he earns your sub. Typically, the way we do it is once people register and they make that commitment and take that risk of ego to come out and put themselves out there in their channels and everything. And that's typically when we share their channels, but we're certainly glad to share your channel, and we hope more people will check you out. So thanks for joining us tonight. Lots of folks are subscribing to Hugh, so yeah, and I did too. It's kind of a neat channel. He's working on some fun stuff over there. I watched his video about compressing some valve springs. So, all right, Tony's out. He's ready over there. We're going to wrap up over here. Thank you guys for coming out tonight in our off-season edition of Friday Night Live. As you know, we usually cover what's going on in the world of the No Name Nationals, but this is a community. That's just an event. This is the community that it represents. So thank you guys for coming out tonight. I got a lot of storm cleanup to do, and I'll be busy doing that. I'll probably do some shorts and stuff about that this week. If you guys want to watch chainsaw and fallen tree cleanup action. Hey, there's Wendy, Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. But thank you guys for coming out. We'll wrap up. Y'all have a great weekend, and see you over at Tony's Hot Rod Garage.